Welcome to Reset Human, a place where we share real stories about losing everything and finding yourself again. Tonight, I want you to picture this: a rainy evening, a small apartment dimly lit by the glow of an old laptop. A 45-year-old man sits quietly at the table, still wearing his gray factory uniform, the fabric stained with oil and time. On the screen, one short subject line, polite and merciless. Operational restructure effective immediately. Just one email, one sentence, and 20 years of his life disappear in a click. He doesn't shout, he doesn't cry, he just sits there, listening to the rain against the window, wondering in silence, who am I without this job? But this isn't just his story. It's the story of so many of us people who thought the end had come, only to realize maybe it was the beginning. This is They Said I Was Too Old to Start Over Until I Built a New Career from Scratch. November rain, a dim apartment on the edge of the city. The clock blinks 7:12 p.m., casting a soft red pulse across the wall like a heartbeat that won't slow down. He sits at the small kitchen table, still wearing the same gray uniform from the factory. His name patch, Min, is slightly frayed at the edges, like everything else he owns. In front of him, his laptop screen glows with a single unread email. The subject line is short, too short. Operational restructure, immediate effect. He clicks it open, even though he already knows. The message is polite, efficient, and cold. We regret to inform you, due to downsizing, effective immediately. His coffee has gone cold. He doesn't drink it. For a moment, he just stares at the screen, at the words that end 22 years of routine, noise, and purpose. The rain outside grows heavier, hitting the window like static. He leans back, closes his eyes, and lets out a long, quiet breath, the kind of breath that doesn't make room for the next one. The next morning feels different, not because anything changed, but because everything did. The alarm still rings at 6:00. His hand still reaches to turn it off, but there's nowhere to go. His wife moves quietly in the kitchen, pretending not to notice the silence between them. The smell of rice and egg drifts through the apartment, familiar and fragile. His daughter hums in her room a soft tune from a cartoon she loves. Life goes on even when his doesn't. He sits by the window, watching people hurry to work. Their umbrellas bloom open under the gray sky, while he just sits a man without a direction, watching the world continue without him. The first week passes like fog. He scrolls through job listings until his eyes blur. Every post seems written for someone younger, someone faster, sharper, fluent in the language of screens. 5+ years experience in digital design, must be familiar with modern software tools. He doesn't even know what half of them mean. He tells himself it's temporary, that someone will need a man like him, someone who can fix machines with his hands, someone who shows up early and stays until the lights go off. But the world has changed its language. By the 3rd rejection email, he stops counting. By the 10th, he stops opening them. At night, he lies awake listening to the hum of the fridge and the distant sound of motorbikes. His wife's breathing is steady beside him. He stares at the ceiling and wonders if maybe everyone was right. Maybe 45 is too old to start over. In the dark, his thoughts turn cruel. Who are you without that job? Without that routine? He imagines his co-workers, the younger ones, still there laughing, moving on. He wonders if they miss him, or if his absence just made room for someone else. The ceiling fan creaks above. Time stretches thin. He whispers to himself, not sure if he means to be heard. Maybe this is it. A pause, the kind that hurts. Or maybe it's time to find out who I am without it. One night, 2 weeks later, he opens the laptop again, not to check job boards, but to watch something random, anything that doesn't remind him of failure. A video pops up, How to Learn Digital Design for Beginners. He almost scrolls past it, but the thumbnail catches him, a man around his age, sitting at a cluttered desk, smiling awkwardly at the camera. He clicks. The instructor's voice is gentle, unpolished. The lesson is simple: shapes, colors, layers. But as Min follows along, something flickers inside him, the quiet rhythm of learning, of being lost and curious again. He spends hours that night drawing rectangles, adjusting lines, moving pixels he barely understands. When the sun rises, he hasn't slept, but for the first time since losing his job, he doesn't feel useless. The light spills across the room, hitting the metal badge on his desk, Min, assembly line lead. He looks at it, then back at the screen filled with his first clumsy design. And for a brief moment, the two versions of himself, the man of machines and the man of pixels, coexist. He exhales quietly. Something in him stirs. Not hope, not yet just movement. Morning light creeps through the blinds, soft, almost apologetic. The kind of light that doesn't know whether to comfort or to expose. Min sits at the same kitchen table where the email found him 2 weeks ago. The screen is closed now, but the words are still there, burned somewhere behind his eyes. The kettle whistles. His wife moves quietly, avoiding his gaze. They've been together 20 years. Yet lately, silence has become their most fluent language. She sets a cup of coffee in front of him. "Try to eat something," she says softly. He nods, but the food stays untouched. He looks around the apartment, the old fan spinning lazily, his daughter's school shoes by the door, the half-finished drawing she taped to the fridge. Life still moves, he thinks. It just no longer waits for him. The days blur together. He sends resumes, rewrites them, then sends again. Nothing. Some replies are kind, but distant. "We've decided to move forward with other candidates." Others say nothing at all. Every morning, he opens his inbox like a wound that never heals. Every night, he closes it again, emptier than before. Outside, the neighborhood hums with life. Motorbikes speed past. Vendors shout at corners. The world goes on, efficient, merciless. He used to be part of that noise, the rhythm of engines, sweat, and purpose. Now he's only an observer. Sometimes he catches himself staring at his hands. Calloused, strong, skilled. Hands that once built things other people needed. Hands that now have nowhere to belong. One afternoon, he runs into an old coworker at a convenience store. The man still in his factory uniform, a small oil stain near the collar. They used to laugh about that. Now, the laughter's gone. "Hey, Min," the man says. They exchange polite words. "How are you? You hanging in there?" And then comes the line Min's heard too many times. "It's tough out there for guys our age, huh?" He smiles, but it feels like defeat. As they part ways, Min catches his reflection in the shop window. Tired eyes, shoulders heavy. A man slowly disappearing into the background of his own life. That night, he can't sleep. The rain has returned softer this time, like whispers against glass. He sits by the window with a blanket around his shoulders and opens the laptop again. Not to look for jobs, not this time. He types into the search bar, "What can I learn at 45?" The results scroll endlessly: languages, coding, cooking, digital design. He laughs quietly. "Digital design," he mutters, the words foreign and strange in his mouth. Still, he clicks. The video opens. A man, maybe 40, maybe older, smiles nervously into the camera. His background is cluttered, his lighting uneven. It feels human. He begins explaining shapes, colors, and lines. Min follows along, dragging his mouse clumsily across the screen. Circles overlap, squares misalign, everything looks wrong, but he doesn't stop. Hours pass. The rain ends. And when dawn arrives, something in him shifts. He's still unemployed, still uncertain, but for the first time in months, he feels awake. He whispers to himself, barely audible, as sunlight creeps into the room. "Maybe I'm not done yet." Days start to form a rhythm again, not of work, but of quiet persistence. Each morning, Min makes a cup of coffee, opens his laptop, and presses play. Tutorial after tutorial, cursor after cursor, his world shrinks to the size of a glowing screen. But somehow, it feels vast. At first, it's chaos, wrong colors, messy layers, forgotten shortcuts. He curses at the software under his breath. But then he laughs because no one's watching and the mistakes don't cost him anything anymore. He starts sketching shapes that mean something. The outline of a wrench, a pair of working hands, a skyline built from rectangles. His art looks awkward, but it's his. His wife begins to notice the light again, the one from the laptop that stays on until 2 or 3 a.m. One night, she asks gently, "What are you doing in there?" He hesitates. "Learning, I think." She smiles, tired but proud. "Then keep going." It's not approval he hears, it's permission. And somehow, that's enough. Weeks turn into months. The kitchen table transforms into a small workstation laptop, sketchpad, cheap mouse, endless sticky notes scribbled with color codes. He joins online forums filled with strangers who speak a language he's still learning. Some are kind, others impatient. But every critique, every small tip teaches him something new. He uploads his first portfolio, a few logo mock-ups, a clumsy poster, a banner for a friend's cafe. He hits submit and waits. Days pass. No reply. Then one morning, his inbox flashes. A message from a small local business. "We like your work. Could you design our new store sign?" He reads it twice, 3 times, then laughs the kind of laugh that breaks months of silence. It's not a big job. The pay is small, but it's real. He tells his wife. She hugs him so tightly that for a moment he forgets about the last 6 months. The project becomes everything. He works with focus he hasn't felt in years, sketching, erasing, adjusting. He even visits the store, takes photos of the street, studies how the sunlight hits the front door, imagines how the sign will glow at night. When the owner sees the final design, she smiles. "This is exactly what I wanted." It's a simple sentence, but it lands like a thunderclap. For years, Min's worth was measured in output, in quotas and shifts. Now, it's measured in something far deeper: creation. That night, he stands on the apartment balcony, watching the city below the flicker of neon lights, the endless hum of engines. He thinks about the factory, about the oil and noise, about the people who once said he was too old to start over. He whispers into the night air, half to himself, half to the ghosts of his doubt. Too old, maybe, but not too late. The words hang there for a moment, fragile, then steady. He doesn't know where this new path leads. He only knows that for the first time in years, he wants to find out. By the end of that year, the walls of Min's apartment are covered in small victories, sketches pinned beside invoices, printouts of finished logos, emails from clients who found him through word of mouth. It's not much, but each paper, each design, is proof that something once broken is quietly mending. He still wakes early, out of habit. The factory alarm is gone, but his body remembers. Now, instead of the clang of machines, he greets the glow of his monitor. The hum of creation replaces the noise of production. Sometimes he misses it, the camaraderie, the rough laughter, the smell of iron. But when he opens a new project file, he feels a different kind of belonging, not to a company, but to himself. Money is still tight. The rent still bites. But each week brings a new commission, a cafe, a small brand, a teacher who needs an online poster. He never expected art to pay his bills. Now it's paying for his daughter's school books. One evening, as he finishes a design, she walks over, holding a drawing of her own bright colors, uneven lines, a sun with a smiling face. "Can you teach me how to do this on the computer, Dad?" she asks. He pauses, blinking back the emotion that rises too quickly. "Of course," he says, and for the first time, he sees it, the quiet inheritance of courage. As weeks turn into seasons, his skills sharpen. He no longer learns from tutorials, he teaches others. He joins online groups, answers questions for beginners, records small clips explaining what once confused him. One message arrives late at night from a man in his 50s. "I thought I was too old to learn, but watching you gave me hope. Thank you." Min reads it twice, smiling faintly. He remembers his own first night, the rain, the darkness, the emptiness. And he realizes something profound. He didn't just build a new career, he rebuilt the belief that life can begin again even after it ends. Months later, he passes by his old factory. The gates are rusted, the sign faded. Through the fence, he sees weeds breaking through the concrete, quiet persistence, surviving where industry once ruled. He smiles. The place that defined him for decades now feels smaller. Not because it changed, but because he has. He takes a photo not out of nostalgia, but gratitude. That's where the first life ended, he thinks, and where the second one began. That night, he sits alone on the balcony, a warm wind moving through the city. His daughter's laughter echoes from inside. The hum of distant traffic feels like a heartbeat, now steady, alive. He whispers almost to the stars. "They said I was too old to start over." A pause, then a smile. Maybe they were right. But I started anyway. The city below seems to glow a little brighter, as if agreeing. He closes his laptop, finishes his tea, and lets the night breathe around him, not as a man who lost everything, but as one who was finally brave enough to rebuild it.